Hey guys, it's Kevin from JazTime.com. JazTime.com is an online store that buys, sells, trades authentic luxury watches. We make these videos so our customers can easily choose the best watch for themselves in the comfort of their own home. We offer the lowest prices anywhere online, and if you'd like to know the price of a watch, simply click on the links in the description below. If you enjoy our videos, we would greatly appreciate if you would buy a watch from JazTime.com once in a while. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right into our comparison today. Today we'll be doing a comparison between the Rolex No Date Submariner here on my left, reference number 114060, versus the Rolex Deepsea newly updated in the Bezel 2018 show here on my right, reference number 126660. We'll be going over the dial, bezel, case, crown, bracelet, clasp, and we'll talk about the movements towards the end of the video. Okay, as you can see, both of them are sports pieces, and that's easily known just by the dial structure, which is the maxi dial, the circular hour markers with index 6 and 9, and the triangular 12 o'clock position hour markers, all fashioned 18 karat white gold to prevent any tarnishing. Similar style hands, which are Mercedes hour hands, the minute hand, the minute and hour hand with the hour markers are luminescent with a highly legible chromolite display along with a blue luminescence, meaning it'll glow in the dark with a blue luminescence for up to 8 hours. So easy, high visibility in the day and at night as well. And that makes sense as these both are divers watches. You want to be able to still see the time underwater as well. So the luminosity will shine to be legible while diving as well. Of course, as I stated, the left is a no date submariner, meaning there's no date at the 3 o'clock position. Instead, we just have a simple index indice, whereas the Deepsea, we do have the index, or not the index, but the date window at the 3 o'clock position. Typically for sports pieces, there is a Cyclops lens on top of the sapphire crystal, but it's neither for both of these watches, as this no date submariner has no date. And the Deepsea, the sapphire thickness, or sapphire crystal thickness, is actually very thick. It's about 5.5 millimeters thick. Which sort of does the magnification on its own because of that thickness. One of the main differences is that we do see that the Deepsea has a helium escape valve ring lock system around the edge of the dial, and I'll explain more about that later when we get to the case. Otherwise, there's the only major difference, or not even major, I apologize. The only minor difference that we see here is that at the 6 o'clock position, you'll see the Swiss-made text at the bottom right underneath the hour marker, and that's actually the only change really. They added a crown logo between it on the Deepsea. The Submariner does not have that. Another thing I did forget to mention is that for the minute and the seconds hand for both watches, the Deepsea has been updated for a 1 millimeter length increase for the seconds hand and the minute hand, and that's to match the outer indices. As you can see from the No Date Submariner, you see this sort of a spacing between it. It doesn't really line up exactly. The Deepsea has that update where the hand extends exactly at the edge of the outer indices to make a nice streamlined look. Alright, moving on to the bezel now. So for the bezel, we have the same style bezel, which is a unidirectional rotatable 60-minute graduated scratch resistant Cerachrome bezel, which Cerachrome being Rolex's fancy way of saying ceramic bezel. The numerals and gradations are coated in a platinum to match with that stainless steel look overall, with the rigidness of the outer portion of the bezel and the stainless steel case. But specifically for the difference between the two bezels, simply is just the indices that are marked. So for the No Date Submariner, you can see that the indices are marked up to the 15-minute mark. Each indice is a 5-minute, large indice is a 5-minute increment. The Arabic numerals being 10-minute increments. So you can see the Submariner No Date only has the indices to the 15, whereas the Deepsea has it all the way around, even if it's just smaller indices as it gets farther. As I said, the bezel is used to track elapsed time. You can see how that works in their own standalone videos. We do have videos on both of these watches by themselves, so you can take a look on the bezel function. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and move on to the case now. So case size is going to be different case sizes. For the No Date Submariner, we got a 40 millimeter case size, which is from my index finger to my thumb here, 40 millimeters in diameter. Whereas the Deepsea is the 44 millimeters in diameter, so index finger to my thumb here, 44 millimeters in diameter, so 4 millimeters bigger than the No Date Submariner. Also, the size of the watch, the profile, is going to be vastly different as well. So for the No Date Sub, it almost looks like it's two of these Submariners stacked on top of each other just to make that thickness of that Deepsea casing. The No Date Submariner runs at a 12.5 millimeters thickness, whereas the Deepsea is a 17.7 millimeters thickness, so quite large. The Submariner will fit under suit cuffs, dress cuffs very nicely, but the Deepsea will not. It will be a very bold look on your wrist, as it does stand out much more higher on the wrist. And I did mention that I would be mentioning about the ring lock. As you can see, the side of the case on a Deepsea has this little circular indency, or circular marker, and that's actually part of the helium escape valve. So basically, for the Submariner, you'll be using it to dive for a water resistance of about 300 meters or 1,000 feet, whereas the Deepsea is more of a professional diver's watch. It goes down to about 3,900 meters or 12,800 feet, and going down that low into the ocean or wherever you're diving, well, you have to come up through a depressurization chamber, and that depressurization chamber has a mixture of gases that help depressurize the room you're in, and one of those gases is helium, and helium does get into the watches when you're in the chamber, and it can actually pop the crystal off just due to the pressure buildup in the watch. And that's where the Rolex got the idea of the helium escape valve, is that once it reaches a certain bar of pressure, it actually just opens up and lets that gas back out. So cool little feature there. But as you can see, same style of high polish that matches with the sides of the bracelet. And as I show you the other side, same here as well. Of course, larger crown for the larger case and larger crown protectors. A little bit more narrower crown protectors on the Deepsea, as you can see. Opposed to the Submariner is a little bit larger width-wise compared to the Deepsea. Moving on to the crown now, both have the same style crown, which is a triple lock, triple waterproofness system. It's a screw down, they are both screw down crowns, and I'll show you the functions on the Deepsea because the Submariner is just very simple. So for the Deepsea, you just simply unwind counterclockwise as shown. This is how it works for the Submariner as well. In its first position is where you can wind the watch. About 15-20 winds is all you need to get the watch started once more. Pulling the crown out to the next position will allow you to adjust the date instantaneously. This function obviously will be missing on the No Date Submariner. And you can see how easy it is to change through the dates. Now, in the final position, for either the Deepsea or the Submariner, they're both going to have the function of stopping the seconds hand. As you can see, the seconds hand has a stop moving, and it allows for precise time settings, such as to an atomic clock online. You can set it down to the exact seconds, and you can also adjust the hands bidirectionally to set the time however you like. Pressing the crown back in will start that seconds hand once more. And once again, always make sure to screw the crown nice and tight in against the case, as you want to keep your watches nice and protected between the crown protectors and keeping that water resistance that I mentioned, which for the Submariner was 300 meters or 1,000 feet, and the Deepsea was 3,900 meters or 12,800 feet. And that's actually located at this 6 o'clock position of the watch as well in the subtext. You can see right underneath the name, there's the water resistance. All right, so let's go ahead and move. And before we move on to the bracelet, actually, one last thing I want to mention about the case is that from this side profile of the case, you can see that the lugs are actually smaller on the Deepsea compared to the Submariner, and that's actually one of the other updates they did with the Deepsea, is that they've narrowed the lugs down and actually added the thickness of the lug, 1 millimeter, into the center of the oyster bracelet. You can now see that the center links are much larger. The center link is much larger than on the Submariner. And then you see the lugs are smaller on the Deepsea but larger on the Submariner. And the reason for that is, can you imagine having this Submariner bracelet on that Deepsea? That's pretty much what was going on in the previous model. So you have this mismatch of shapes when wearing the Submariner and the Deepsea. rather when you're wearing the Deepsea, because had a smaller bracelet and a large case, but now the proportions fit very nicely. As you can see, frontal wise, it's just nice, smooth, large case into a great tapering into the bracelet. But both of these watches do have the same style bracelet, which is the oyster bracelet. As we move through, you can see patterning's the same throughout. For the clasp, same style clasp, which is a flip lock safety folding oyster lock. These two clasps are pretty much the same in regards to functions and whatnot, but there is one small difference between the two, and I'll actually show you that now. So we're gonna go ahead and open up these bracelets. So Submariner, there's a lock, safety folding lock. So there's a lock that sits on top of that folding oyster that opens up to reveal these nicely high polished clasp blades. Okay, and the differences, I put down the Submariner. We're gonna go take a look at this, or I put down Deepsea, we're gonna look at Submariner first. So we're gonna go ahead and pull 45-degree angle on the Submariner's bracelet at the clasp area. And you can see that I can adjust the bracelet inward or outward using the glide lock extension system, which is these little rivets behind a clasp, which allows for adjustments of 2mm increments for a total adjustment of 20 millimeters. So you can snap that back in. Very simple, very easy to use. The Deepsea has a similar function on its clasp. So you see those little rivets again, once again, similar to the Submariner. However, in order to move it, as you can see, it can't move it inward or outward. You have to actually pull on the top of the clasp, and then you'll be able to adjust however you need, either inward or outward, as shown. Not only that, the Deepsea actually has an additional extension system called a flip lock extension, which is right here. And this is actually, these little flat links open up to allow for more comfort on the wrist for divers who are looking to adjust to the size of their wetsuit. That the wetsuit sits around the wrist and adds a little bit more millimeter increments onto the wrist, so you can adjust for that and have more comfortability on the wrist. Now let's go ahead and jump onto the movements. So the movement of the Submariner is housed in a simple oyster case backing. For the Deepseas, housed in a larger oyster case backing with the Sea Dweller Deepsea name with the Rolex logo crown engraved onto the back of that case back with a nice satin finish, whereas the Submariner has a high polish instead on the back of the case. The movements are different. So the Submariner runs a 3130 movement, which is Rolex's in-house made perpetual mechanical self-winding movement. It has a precision of -2 + 2 seconds a day, which is within Swiss specs. It has the oscillator is a paramagnetic blue parachrome hairspring, which allows for additional resistance against magnetism. And it has a power reserve of 48 hours, meaning you can put this watch out on a Friday evening, pick it back up on a Sunday afternoon, and be keeping time just fine. But this movement is similar to just the 3135 movement, which is the addition of the complication of the date movement. So those two are similar to each other. So it's very simple, tried and tested movement for over 10-20 years or so. But the Deepsea comes in now, the newly updated Deepsea actually used to run that 3135 movement, which is similar to the No Date Submariner's 3130 movement, just with a date complication. So they've actually went from that 3135 to the 3235, which is also a perpetual mechanical self-winding movement. Is in-house made by Rolex still. It has the precision of -2 + 2 seconds a day. However, this testing for it is more strenuous now, as Rolex decided to add another step into the testing process. So originally, for like the 3130 or 3135 movement, they used to test the movement outside of the watch and then put the movement into the watch once it was ready and tested. But now for the 3235, they test the movement outside of the watch, and then they put the movement into the watch and do another test to make sure it's within those Swiss specs. So extra testing protocols for that, meaning a even more reliable movement. Additionally, this watch still has the perpetual mechanical, the paramagnetic blue parachrome hairspring, which is what adds additional resistance against magnetism. It helps keep it in the -2 + 2 seconds a day. But they've also added 2 additional things that are in-house made. One of them is the chronology escapement. So it's a skeletonized escapement wheel that's made of nickel phosphorus. So nickel phosphorus helps it stay anti-magnetic while also reducing the inertia of the escapement, so it doesn't have so it keeps it within that precision of that -2 plus 6 seconds a day. Not only that, it also helps with the energy efficiency of the watch. So the power reserve actually bumps up from a 48 hours to a 70-hour power reserve, meaning you can put this watch out on a Friday evening, pick it back up on a Monday afternoon, and it'll be keeping time just fine. But they actually did even more, and they replaced the industry standard KIF shock absorbers that they used to use with the in-house made Paraflex shock absorbers, which Rolex claims to absorb 50% more shocks than the KIF shock absorbers. Alright, so let's go ahead and get these watches on my wrist. You can take a look at this. So once again, locate that flip lock. Folding, lock down, and there is the No Date Submariner. Just one of Rolex's classic Submariner, classic pieces, the Submariner either Date No Date. It just absolutely looks gorgeous, very beautiful. The ceramic bezel really adds to the face of the watch, having a nicer shine to it while not sacrificing durability of the watch. So the face of the watch is more eye-catching and appealing. That satin finish all throughout helps keep the watch nice and durable, hides any scratches or scuffs that you may get in the future. But overall, very beautiful watch. There it is, 12.5 millimeters off the wrist. You can see it doesn't sit very high off the wrist. So now let me show you the Deepsea now. So once again, that lock open, folding. Okay, and there we are. There's a Deepsea. So one thing I want to mention right off the bat, look at that. Sits very high off the wrist at 17.7 millimeters. Here's a side-by-side comparison of that. So this will not fit into cuffs, just cuffs very nicely, but it makes much more of a bolder statement as it is a larger watch. See, it's a very beautiful watch overall. So if you're interested in these models for the lowest possible price, check out our website at JazTime.com. We have the lowest prices guaranteed. We offer a 1-year warranty. And if you liked the video, please like, comment, subscribe below. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you guys soon.
If you want to find out more about the watch you just saw in the video, you can just click below on Show More to see the full description. Then you can check the link next to model as seen in video, click on it, and you will get to the proper page where you can see all the details. If you're watching on a mobile phone, you have to click on the arrow down on the right hand side below the video to see the full description. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you would like to share this video with your friends, you can use the share button below and share it on any platform you like. If you have questions, constructive feedback, want to tell us about some mistakes or misspeaks, just write a comment below. If you want to see more videos like this, you should subscribe to our channel and visit our channel page where you can find all the videos. And if you're interested in a specific watch brand, you can check out our playlists. If you want to check the price for a watch or want to buy one, remember at JazTime.com you always get a steep discount, so you should check the prices with us. If you want to know the price for a specific watch, just go to Google, type in JazTime, plus the brand, model, and the details you're interested in, and Google will find the right page for you. Thank you for watching.